go ahead and get started. If there aren't any other complications, which I don't think there are. We should be good now. Okay, I wanted to make sure that we're good. I wanted to make sure that everything was good. Okay, we can get started. Ladies and gentlemen, yo peoples, Kyushu92 here. We are at the end of the month again. It is the end of May, and, well, to be quite honest with you, the final week where we don't have the Nintendo Switch 2. For those of us who went ahead and is going to be getting it as, obviously. CDs, it's good to see you. We essentially, this is it's the last day of May. We literally start tomorrow with June. There's so much happening in June. I got my solo leveling light novel reading. I got me going to get my Switch 2. And there's also going to be Summer Game Fest that's dropping this week as well. So needless to say, I am looking forward to next week. My goodness! It's going to be a very fun week, and I'm glad I get to share all of that with you. Today will not be a longer session as it tends to be with the other chapters that I'm doing, that I normally do, because we only got 2 chapters in the month of May. And the next chapter drops tomorrow, so I can't wait to read that. But we got 2 chapters for One Piece. Let me just go through the spiel here. Welcome back to One Piece Reflections, where I, at the end of every month, go over the chapters of One Piece we get throughout the month, theorize where the stories could go from here, ask those very important questions, and bring to light what I think of what's happening right now in the world of One Piece, with all the knowledge that we know from previous chapters and basically the entirety of One Piece as a whole. So we only got 2 chapters this month. It was chapter 1148 and then lastly 1149. Getting started with chapter 1148, Ronya. This is when Ronya, we basically begin the chapter with Ronya, one of the giant children that's being led away by Gunko. She gets diverted away from the group. Mind you, they're still walking forward. And the kids are wondering what's going on, and Ronya still has that cheerful smile on her face, and like, don't worry, I'll be fine. And she finds herself being led out the side of the branch, onwards to basically a gangplank, where she's over the clouds, where her life is literally on the balance here, where Gunko basically makes her walk out to the end of it, as if to say, yeah, well, we'll find out in the middle of the chapter. So, Summers pops up. Gunko says, the first one is all set up to plummet, Summers. Good, patch it in so that all of Elbaph can hear the little twerp's voice. Now, if we don't hear your decision within 30 seconds, the first one of your kids gets pushed off. That being, you need to set fire to the school and the library because it has pointless history, and we don't want that, and we need you to become our slaves. Just being blunt with it. So now Ronya's life is hanging in the balance for Chief Jarl, to make a decision. Now, if we don't hear your decision within 30 seconds, the first one of your kids gets pushed off. Hi, Dragon. Hello. Good to see you. Beard Hill Jarl. You need to give the orders to your school teacher. Tell her to light the school and library on fire. And the giants are... What did you miss? No, we're just now getting started. We're just now getting started on the chapters that we just got in May. Zakaruga, it is good to see you. I hope life has been treating you well. We have just started my reflections recap of what we got during the month of May. 2 chapters. Officially 2 chapters. So here the giants are protesting for basically Anji setting fire to the school because it literally has the history of the giants, but also history from people all around the world as well, including the scholars of Ohara, because pretty much the vast majority of the books within the library at the school, a lot of them are comprised of books that were saved and taken by the giants from Ohara after the Ohara incident. So giants are protesting, saying, that library holds the words of people across thousands of years of history. What do you mean? Obviously lives come first, and giants are arguing whether to save the children or whether to save the school and its rich history. So that's going on. We cut back to Robin and Chopper, who are still hiding in Saul's fur at the time, while Somers is using like some sort of vine-thorny snake to, slowly move away from Saul. And Robin tells Chopper, stay here. And he's all like, what? We shouldn't fight without knowing for certain what their powers can do. But what are you gonna... I can't hold back the emotions that are running through me. Because, you know how Robin is when it comes to people ruining, history, archaeological sites, and being disrespectful to them. Her, being an archaeologist, finds it absolutely distasteful. To the point where one of the most calm individuals, if not the most calm individual in all of the Straw Hat crew, sees this happening to the point where she's all like, no, I need to go out there and run some fades real quick. So, we cut back to Nami and company because they're all still bound up. They're all still bound up by Gunko's arrow powers. And Nami's going, you're going to kill children? Are you literally insane? Even the worst, most vicious criminals across the world don't take children hostage. And then Somers, being the celestial dragon that he is, goes, Did I ask for the opinions of insects? Why, you? And, this is getting under Nami's skin as well. Then we cut back to Ripley because... No, we cut back to Ripley. And she's talking to Frankie, who's, dealing with some of the sleep tids, as she goes, I'll go too, Frankie. Thanks, you'll be a big help. And then it has Dorian Broggy and the rest of the giant warrior pirates going, We'll join the fight as well, split into two groups. One to fight the monsters, and one to save the children. And then we have giants all the way down in the village going, take up your weapons, hurry to branch Route 8, get in your ships. So a lot of giants start to prepare to make their way to branch 8, which is where a lot of this is happening. And we still got some sleep tids in the background. We still got giant birds. We still got giant dragons. We still got some sleep tids left because Killingham is still conscious. And then we have Somers continuing with, also, if you do choose to burn the school and library, you are forbidden from removing a single book from them. You see, what we want to burn down is your culture and your history. Essentially meaning, what we want you to set fire to is everything that makes your culture and your history relevant at all. We want to erase your culture, your history, so that the world wouldn't even know you existed at all. No one would know where you come from. No one would know of your... I say this again, history and culture, everything that makes the giants giants, their whole existence. We want to burn all of that down so that you don't essentially exist except to be our slaves. No one is going to ask about you. No one's going to even learn about you. Everything that comprises your entire civilization, we just want to raze it to the ground. I hate these dudes. I hate them. Like, it's just... Whenever I hear a single celestial dragon speak, I just think they have the capacity to be like a Don Quixote homing, or a Don Quixote Miasgard, or a Don Quixote Rocinante. They have that capability, but they lack it completely because they're all that brainwashing that they've been brought up to believe that they're gods and whatever they say goes and no one would ever buck up against them. Literally showing that the only person to go up against a celestial dragon with absolutely, no regard for the consequences, was Luffy, Sai, and Leo. And another celestial dragon who wound up being killed because he sided with humanity. So, only 3 people have looked at a celestial dragon and said, yeah, I don't care. Decked in the schnoz. And what makes it even more significant for this moment where there are 3 people who don't even care about the celestial dragons and their position in life, it just happened to happen to the exact same celestial dragon, St. Charlos, all those times. Luffy punched him in the face because he shot Hachi and said, you shot my friend. No, and everyone's trying to warn him, are you crazy? There's no way he's gonna do it. And then Luffy, just seeing the thing about Luffy is he doesn't see your status, he sees the person in front of him who injured his friend or did something to his friend. That's all he sees. So that person's status, who they're connected to, the power that they wield means absolutely nothing to Luffy because you disrespected him. You disrespected his friend. And therefore, you are subject for that running of hands. You are subject for the fisticuffs. Then Leo and Sai did the same thing when Charlos tried to take Shirahoshi. Because they developed that same thing, like, if Luffy's not scared to punch a celestial dragon, why should we? We don't care. We're pirates. We're not affiliated with any nation. Who cares what happens? And then Charlos gets that fade run again. See, when I see these celestial dragons just treat everyone like trash, I relish the moment when they get bodied completely. Every single time. So, getting back to this, we have such a moment. So we have Somers saying, you're forbidden from removing a single book from them. You see, what we want to burn down is your culture and your history. And that's when Robin creates a Gigantocien Fleur, Craspedia, and hits Somers directly in the face. Of course, this draws blood from him, but, with them being basically immortal, it doesn't do anything lasting. And while that's happening, Somers lands solidly on his face, a good distance away from Saul. And the rest of the Straw Hats see Robin there. But when that happens, Jinbei says, be careful, we still don't know what makes them tick. And Robin says, yes, I am aware of that. And while Chopper is still inside Saul's hair, Robin uses Quattro Mano and uses Clutch on Somers, who clearly knows who Nico Robin is, but before he can say Nico Robin, he gets clutched by Robin. And everyone's cheering for Robin, and Somers is left reeling on the ground, but Robin remembers what Saul said, saying that they're basically immortal, you can't beat them, and Somers gets back up, snapping his body into place. Imagine having your bones broken, and you see the person whose bones you have just broken, and they start to get back up, their bones snap into place, and he puts his head back in place, like it's back in place and snaps it back in, and even Usopp is going, darn, he's a zombie too! Can you hear me, Elbaph? You've got 20 seconds until the kid falls. So when that happens, Robin latches onto Somers and then proceeds to launch him and pull him off of the branch so that they can both plummet. And Somers is all like, what? You jumped off? You got a death wish? I'm down for love, but not a lover's leap. And everyone's looking at Robin going, what happened? They're making the kids walk the plank, typical pirate stuff. But here's the thing. They don't see it as such. They just see it as a means to an end. I brought that up earlier. I said they got the kid walking on like a gangplank of an arrow. I made reference to that a little bit earlier on. So Somers and Robin are falling down. And she goes, I'm well aware that you're immortal and have thorn-based powers. But as long as I remove those invisible thorns, we can save the children. Oh yeah? So you've deduced that knocking me down below will put the kids outside the range of my powers. You're a clever woman, and proceeds to have thorns erupt from his body, which puncture Robin, which actually shows to be a fake clone, as Somers is falling by himself. So, while it looks like Somers is falling down into the underworld and hopefully out of the range of his powers' effectiveness, Robin tries to go over and cut the arrows off the Straw Hat crew, but even using a knife, she's not even capable of cutting through it. And then Somers calls out again. 10 seconds left, as he's used a vine from his chest to attach to the branch and basically keep himself from falling outside of the range so that the children can't be saved. Time to speak up, Jarl. Make sure he hears the kid's voice, Gunko. And Ronya is standing there and she's not saying anything, even though Gunko is telling her to. Well, not asking, because asking would be a polite way of doing things. Gunko is telling her to speak. And Ronya says, Chief Jarl, what I want to say is, I love the school. It's where my friends are. I love the library too. The books tell you about places all around the world. The teachers at school taught me this lesson. You mustn't cause trouble for other people. You mustn't do things that make them upset. I know it's weird hearing me speak these characters without actually doing the voice acting for it. If we lose the school and library in order to stop me from falling off the branch, that would be really sad and make everyone upset. So I think I should fall instead. Don't worry, Chief Jarl, I'll be alright. I'm a lucky girl. I bet everything will turn out fine. Mind you, she's still a child. So while she's saying all of this, she is bawling her eyes out because she's scared out of her mind. Yet she still has the strength to say... She still has the strength and determination to say this despite the death that she faces in front of her, which I applaud. So while Somers is counting down, he goes 2, 1, and then Jarl tearfully screams Anji set fire to the school. And of course, there are some giants who protest. Burn down the library. Now, let's not forget that we still have Biblo in there. Remember the owl with the devil fruit power to make objects big and small? He's still there. He's still in the library. And I highly doubt y'all gonna cook the owl inside of the library, let alone him gonna allow the fires to destroy all these books. He's the attendant. He's looking after these books. So he's in there, and Anji tearfully hears this and says, yes, sir. And it shows Saul as he's getting teary-eyed because mind you, he's not mobile enough to move, but he's still conscious enough to let out some tears of sadness because the school and the library are about to be set on fire. And even Robin starts to tear up because of this. I mean, like I said, she's an archaeologist. History is very important to her. It's literally her occupation. So all this knowledge of Elbaph, including those of the citizens of Ohara, are in this library. History of her people. The voices of Ohara still present even after they were razed to the ground by the world government, simply because they knew too much. And then Robin is immediately bound up by thorns by Somers, who gets up and prepares to basically kill her with a massive bat. Going, yeah, I like that look on you, Nico Robin. And while they're telling Robin to run, she really can't because she's bound up in thorns. Then we get an individual who's running full speed up the branch, launches up, and before we even see this person, Somers' hand gets cut off, and it doesn't regenerate. And behind Somers, you know what? I just noticed. Behind Somers, let me just say this. Behind Somers comes an individual as Somers screams out, Scopper Gabin! And Gabin cuts Somers straight up the chest. And he's not smiling. He's not jovial. He's absolutely serious. Now, the thing I wanted to bring up before I brought up Scopper Gabin's name is simply the fact that he cut off Somers' arm before he actually reached him. So he sent off a slash that took his arm off. He took Somers' arm off before he even reached him and then slashed him up the chest. Which also shows that whatever Gabin did, now I theorize that this is just another application of Conqueror's Haki that allows the user to basically bypass the immortality of another individual somehow. We don't know the specifics of it, but we find out in the next chapter that it's something that Chopper wants to learn about. But Gabin has showed up in this chapter and has slashed Summers and actually kept him from regenerating, which just led to a whole bevy of theories that I had in mind when it actually happened. Hold on, let me go back and then go back into this. There we go. All right, cool, good. So, in my head, and I brought this up during my actual reaction, in my head, I was thinking of the many applications of hockey as we've seen it throughout the series. We've seen many increasing levels of armament hockey, like the armament hockey being used to harm Devil Fruit users, either they are Logia or maybe even Paramecia users who are not used to actually suffering physical damage, such as the case of Luffy. Hockey being used to navigate around these natural defenses and natural powers from, these supernatural powers of Devil Fruits. We saw it get increasingly more varied as time went on. So we started with armament hockey, where it was just an invisible shield that allowed you to negate things. You couldn't see it then, or being able to bypass the defenses of the power granted by a Devil Fruit that would make, blunt force trauma or trauma of any kind basically impossible. And then being able to negate the effects of Logia characters who are all intents and purposes should be invulnerable to basically everyone. We've seen various applications, how it can be seen, and more powerful versions of this allows it to be coated over the body or over a weapon, and even infused into objects that can make it so that there's damage without the person touching them. And we see such various degrees of armament hockey. Then we get observation hockey that allows you to sense the intent of another individual, sense another person, sense their strength, and then being able, in the case of Fujitora, being able to use it as a form of echolocation so refined that this man is capable of fighting against basically everyone despite being blind, or being able to see long distances. And then we see even higher forms where you can see into the future. And in Shanks' case, being able to see so far as like a full minute into the future. And in other cases, be able to basically cut off your entire presence, but that's actually a Conqueror's hockey element there. We see various degrees of hockey throughout the entire series where we keep seeing more and more powerful versions, more and more powerful variations, more and more powerful levels to it. Just as the skill tree increases for hockey, we just keep seeing more and more and more versions of it where it becomes more and more varied, more and more powerful than the last. Then you get to Conqueror's hockey, where it was introduced, it was seen as like an intimidation factor of some kind. We didn't know what it was back then, but we started to see it more and more, being able to override the will of another individual, completely knock them unconscious. Then we started to see more examples of how far this ability can go, why it's so rare, and people who are capable of using it to a degree that it essentially makes them some of the strongest beings in all of the entire series. We see it go from being able to intimidate people and knock out people, subdue animals, to being able to basically be outputted miles out to sea, to the point where it can make individuals such as Logias literally leave their elemental states by force because of how powerful that person's hockey actually is. And even intimidate an individual that had no problem, ransacking a portion of Wano in order to try and take on Luffy and beat up everyone in his path. Ryokugyu was rendered not only immobile, but also forced out of his Logia state forcibly. He didn't change voluntarily. Hockey's so strong that it can make an incorporeal being become corporeal because that's just how strong and dense the hockey is. Then being able to see Conqueror's hockey coat over the body so that you don't even have to physically touch anything, and it can be used in conjunction with armament hockey to make blows that were already completely devastating become colossal and cataclysmic in terms of power. And then in the special case of Shanks, which this is canon by the way, Shanks is capable of erasing his entire presence. This is a Conqueror's hockey ability, being able to erase his entire presence to make it. Greetings, fellow peoples. I'm a little late. What have I missed? We're only on chapter 1148. We haven't gotten to the last chapter of this month, so Ozzy and Julian, you made it here perfectly because I'm going on my little rant, my little spiel about hockey as a whole, leading up to Scopper Gavin slashing Sommer straight up the chest. In the case of Shanks, he's capable of using conquerors, or just essentially erasing his presence. Whether it's him using conquerors to erase his presence, or this is just some other phenomena, he's capable of erasing his presence completely from another individual, making it effectively impossible for anyone with future sight to ever be able to detect him at all. They would not be able to use future sight with Shanks around because Shanks would literally erase himself from them. That's something Shanks can do. And now, as we get here in Elbaph, we see the strength of Scopper Gavin is quite vast. Despite being, old, he's still incredibly powerful. Not to mention, another example of substantial Conqueror's hockey power is Garp, when he first showed up to Hachinosu and nuked an entire town just by combining armament hockey, Conqueror's hockey, and just punching in the direction of the ground and basically imploding it, both in the manga and especially in the anime. Then we have another example of just how strong Conqueror's hockey actually is when Joy Boy's hockey that was infused into like a piece of rope that when pulled, let out a Conqueror's hockey pulse that could be felt across the seas, to the point where Emu was rendered on their knees, breathing heavily, and possibly even hurt by feeling this hockey. It did something physically to them, but also sending every single member of the Gorosei, not only forcing them out of their Zoan states, but also forcibly teleporting them back to Marie Joie by force, and knocking out every single admiral, every single Navy personnel that was there. From the soldiers all the way up to the vice admirals, who at this point are used to dealing with Conqueror's hockey and resisting it. Every last one of them was rendered unconscious. So now we're in a state where we could be seeing another example, another level of Conquerors, where now, and I was thinking of this while I was downstairs, we are possibly seeing a version of Conquerors where it is capable of essentially doing what hockey does to Devil Fruit users who have defenses because of their superpower, because of their powers, the same way that akin to that of what can be done towards immortal beings. So Conquerors is essentially, now it's not completely turning it off, because the reason why I want to say it's more akin to what happens to a Paramecia user, specifically in Luffy's case, when a Devil Fruit user is submerged in water, specifically, let's say Luffy, back when Arlong threw him into the water, and Noriko and what's his name? Noriko and the what is his name? What is his name? He has a pinwheel on the top of his head. What is his name? Some of you guys will know. When Luffy was stuck underwater, his ability to stretch wasn't turned off completely because he was underwater, but he just couldn't move. It doesn't turn off your Devil Fruit powers, but it keeps you from moving, so you actually can't really use them at all. What I see here is this Conquerors works the same way that the sea does. Enzo, thank you! Family calling me. Give me a sec. I got food on the way. All right, back to it. So the way I see it, when we see Scopper Gavin cut through Somers, sorry about that. I see it as akin to how Luffy was not completely without his Devil Fruit powers, but he really couldn't do much to stop it from happening because they could stretch his neck above water to give him air while they were trying to break the stone, the slab that he was stuck in. What I see here is Scopper is capable of bypassing the invulnerability to do damage, but it doesn't shut it off completely. It probably halts it. It probably halts it to the point of shutting off the regeneration. But that's chapter 1148. We'll move on to 1149, and I'll elaborate more on what I mean of why it's more similar to Luffy's than anything else. So, in 1149, let me get back to the front page here because it's trying to remember where I left off. In 1149, 1 second, Gavin has already slashed Somers. Somers is screaming out in pain. The Straw Hats are confused as to how that was able to happen, Usopp most of all, and Gavin just says, "I'm rusty," showing that despite heavily injuring Somers, it was not as effective as it would have been if he was younger. So when that happens, Gavin spins his axe around again, and Somers attempts to use Thorn Sulation, which is like a barrier of thorns, and Gavin proceeds to swipe into it. And Somers backflips in order to get some distance away. "Mountain Eater, what are you doing in Elbaph?" And Gavin just responds with a big old smile, "Let's not get bogged down with boring questions." And they just go at it. They just start fighting each other. And Usopp is going, "What? You met him at the castle?" And Nami just says, "Yeah, he was totally pushing Luffy and Zoro around. He's the father of a boy at the school named Colin." "That old man is?" "If I didn't mishear, he might be Scopper Gavin." And Jinbei chimes in, saying he's the left arm of the king of the pirates, the counterpart to Rayleigh. And Brook just goes, "What's he doing in the land of the giants?" And Chopper is still listening, but he is more fascinated, and I brought this up, he's more fascinated by how Scopper Gavin was able to injure an individual who is effectively immortal. "His attacks are doing damage, but how?" And Robin still can't move. And she wants to use her powers to help out, but Jinbei says, "Don't do it, Robin. He uses thorns of iron. Your hand-to-hand blows aren't suited for fighting him." And then Somers uses Thorn Hunt and Crimson Lotus Hell, which essentially turns the ground into like a sea of thorns, and also sends darker colored thorns towards Scopper Gavin, and Gavin just starts slicing them all down. "Watch your step, there's no safe passage." And then Gavin just goes, "Listen, I'm in a hurry." "Come on then!" And before Somers can even react, Gavin uses a move called Axe Symphony and proceeds to slice through the entirety of Somers' upper torso. This kind of reminds me of Law's Sturban, where he was able to... It wasn't Radio Knife. It was Sturban. Was it Sturban? Oh Lord, it's been so long. It's actually been so long since I've seen... Is it Sturban? The same move he used against Treble to slice his body, where it was impossible for him to piece himself back together. Hold on. No, I want the actual page of the Elbaph fruit. What is it called? Is it Sturban? Room, amputate, scan, mess, injection shot, gamma knife, curtain. What's the move he used against Sturban? Oh, no. Sturban is what he used to take down Treble. That move was called something. For him to slice through Treble, but Treble wasn't able to put himself back together. It had a name. And it's not, and it can't be, it's not radio knife. And it's not amputation either. Oh, it is radio knife. It is radio knife. It is radio knife. Okay, my bad. It's radio knife. It's radio knife. Radio knife. Radio knife. Radio knife. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's radio. The same way Scopper Gavin sliced through Summers. It reminds me of Law's radio knife, where he sliced through Treble, and Treble wasn't able to piece himself together. And we have Summers here getting sliced through by Gavin completely. Completely. And his pieces just proceed to fall onto the thorns. And Gavin sees it, and he just uses his axe to basically give himself extra lift. Like, he literally slams his axe into the ground and twirls over the rest of it, while Summers, still falling to pieces, falls directly onto his own thorns, with those thorns sticking through his body and through his face. Mind you, his immortality is still active, but he can't really piece himself together because he's basically skewered on his own thorns. So he just runs, he just one shot, he just casually mows through Summers. And he just goes, "I'm coming, Colin!" And all the rest of the Straw Hats are shocked to see Gavin just wipe through him instantly and just ignore him and just take off to go get his son. Now, Chopper chases after him because he is so curious as to how Gavin was able to harm an immortal person. And Nami's screaming, "Where are you going, Chopper?" And it shows Chopper literally jumping through the thorns, even though it's kind of poking him a little bit, because he's saying, "Ow, ow, 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 ow." How was he able to slice up a guy who's immortal? That's got to be a crucial secret, and it has to be. And when you have a doctor that says, "I must know how this immortal person was defeated," that's important knowledge that I hope we learn. So we cut back to the school, where the children are being tended to. A lot of them are pretty much all asleep. And then we have Killingham, who's right there with Anji as he goes, "Good, well done," as it shows the school slowly going up in flames. "You have proven yourself obedient." And Anji, understandably, she's shaken and upset and crying, because she's setting fire to literally the school where she's teaching kids, and that has the history of the giants and other people around the world. "That's all we needed to see. I'll take care of the other building." And Killingham aims an arrow over at at the library and starts to set fire to it, as she just cries out, "No." And then we just see the fire start to make its way across the building. Mind you, fire takes a while for it to spread. So it's not like it's just like, whoo, and then covers it in a cartoonish fashion. So it's going to take a minute. And he starts laughing. "Look at it burn!" And Robin sees it, and she's visibly shaken as well, because, well, we know the type of person that Robin is. And Saul, he's still crying, still face first in the thorns. And then we cut back to the village where Chief Jarl is, and the giants are going, "No, it's not your fault, Chief Jarl. The words of our forefathers, all of our history." And he's crying because he had to it was a difficult decision, either the life of the children or keep the books. "This is Killingham, the fire is burning." And then Gunko is talking to Ronya going, "Come back, child. Why aren't you happy?" And then Ronya speaks up going, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm still alive. I'm sorry that everything's burning." And the kids are all like, "No, Ronya, because of me. It's not your fight. It's not your fault, Ronya." I'm so tempted to just do the voices all over again. "Culture." Oh no, we get Gavin, who's running up to Gunko going, "Culture, history, children, troops. You don't have the right to take any of those things away." And Gunko, recognizing him, goes, "A crewmate of the King of Pirates. You realize that resistance means the death of these hostages." "Oh, it's Mr. Ya!" And while that's going, they keep saying, "Colin, Mr. Ya's here." "Huh? He came to save us." And Gavin is all like, "Don't speak up, Colin. Don't do it. And Colin, being the naive child that he is, just immediately says, Dad! So when Colin did this, I had PTSD. Those of you who were there when I was reading through Demon Slayer back then, many of y'all remember how I felt when Tanjiro was going up against Akaza way all those years ago. Many of you know how I felt. I'm keeping an eye out because food is on the way. Many of y'all remember how I felt when Tanjiro was facing off against Akaza near the basically the infinite castle arc. That's how I felt with Colin. I'm like, you just had to keep your mouth quiet! That's all you had to do! But I also realized that Colin is a child with no sense of common sense. So he just goes, Dad! That's my dad, everybody. Guess what? He's stronger than anyone. He's gonna save us all. And then all the kids are screaming, yay! And then Gunko immediately notices Colin. And when Gavin notices that Gunko notices, he tries to swipe at her, but she immediately speeds directly over to Colin. Okay, now it doesn't want to work all of a sudden. Okay, this is weird. I gotta refresh the page because it won't let me look at the rest of it. He tries to take a swipe at Gunko, and she moves away immediately and points a sword directly at his throat. So you don't mind if I kill him. That's what I take from your response. And then Gunko is standing there, and Gavin is thinking, this is my final chance. There's still time to put out the fire in the library. I can save the children and Elbaph in the process, as long as it's instant. Hang in there, Colin. Give me 1 second. You're a big, strong boy now. So, while he's doing that, Colin is going, okay, Daddy. Be strong if you get hurt. I'll make sure you survive. I'm a warrior, so beat this creep. And Gunko goes, a life once lost will never return. Look out, Colin! And then we see some flashback panels of Scopper Gavin when he was there when Ripley gave birth to Colin. As she goes, this is our son, Mr. Ya. He's so adorable and so huge. To the point where baby Colin is bigger than Scopper Gavin because Gavin is standing on the palm. He is standing on the palm of Ripley. What a gift you've given me, Ripley. My lifelong treasure. And then Ripley screams out in the present, be safe, Colin. And then Gunko starts to stab Colin directly in the neck. I have to put a stop to this before things spiral out of control. But he sees a vision of the future where Colin dies and he doesn't make it in time. And Colin is screaming, I'll be strong! Oh no, Colin! And seeing his son die in front of his eyes through this vision, he drops his axe and goes, don't do it, I yield. So Gunko takes the sword out of Colin's neck. As he goes, I'm sorry, Elbaph. And Gunko points her finger at Gavin, says feeble, frail thing, and shoots him multiple times with arrow bullets. I'm sorry, Colin. It must have hurt, I'm sorry. And Colin sees his father fall and he's questioning it like, Dad? Dad! But Chopper comes up and he jumps after Gavin. He jumps directly after him. As Colin starts crying, seeing his dad plummet directly off of Branch Route 8. And all the other kids are screaming, Daddy! And, Colin is screaming, Daddy, and the kids are all going, Yep, Mr. Yeah! And Gunko keeps hearing someone say Daddy over and over and over and over and over again. And that's when she starts to get memories. Memories that are unfamiliar to her. As it shows someone screaming, Father. And she's going, What is this memory? Then we get a familiar laugh, a yo-ho-ho-ho-ho, as it shows a young child with a person we all know to be Brock when he was alive going, well, it's my dream to be a pirate, you see. And we have Brook, who's still bound up, going, the resemblance is uncanny. And, Usopp ignoring this statement just goes, just think of a way to escape. Oh, pardon me. And Gunko is thinking of the name Brook. And she starts running towards Brook. Are you Brook? But before that happens, a pulse emanates from Gunko. And then the voice of Imu, Great Imu, starts to talk to all of the holy knights who are there. As it shows, Summers is still heavily impaled on his own thorns as he just ekes out, Al. And Imu speaks. What is taking so long? Great Imu! At this moment, the Holy Land is a sea of fire. And all of the children notice something is going on with Gunko.
What happened to her? She looks so scary now.
We need greater numbers. Allow Mu to show you the dominance of God. And Imu forcibly possesses Gunko to the point where her hair all of a sudden just forcibly flows out. It grows and extends past her and flows out from behind her. And she adopts the same type of pupils that Imu has. So now we're in a situation where Imu is, one, apparently Marie Joie is on fire now. See, I was thinking, hey, is it still on fire because of the food shortage and the fire that Sabo set from all the way in the Reverie? But no, that's not the same because the Reverie has already happened. That's a while now. There's a considerable amount of time since the Reverie, since the Revolutionary Army did what they did back in Marie Joie. So it can't be that. Which means that something else happened in Marie Joie since then that's going on right now since the Straw Hats ever since the Straw Hats have been in Elbaph. Something has happened to Marie Joie since then. Some people say it might be the Blackbeard Pirates. Others are saying it could be the Revolutionaries. Something has happened in Marie Joie at this very moment that Imu has grown impatient with how slow things are going and has decided to step up and intervene. This is literally a Thanos fine, I'll do it myself moment. Still gotta replace the batteries, can't use it for a prop. This Imu is about to show us their power. See, there's been a lot of assumptions about who Imu may be, the vast powers that Imu has. That's been a thing for a while now. But what's very apparent is that Imu is astronomically powerful. Because we see Imu showcasing abilities and even taking abilities from other individuals that just doesn't seem to be anything that could be linked to a devil fruit. This is some esoteric stuff. This is some eldritch stuff that Imu is doing. Telepathy, being able to invade the minds of whoever he chooses, whoever they choose, being able to possibly grant or rescind immortality, being able to possess another being. There's just so much we don't know about the power of Imu that could just throw up the whole power dynamic of devil fruits and hockey on its head. However, I keep coming back to what Kaido said. And mind you, this chapter ends with Imu taking over Gunko's body and saying, allow Mu to show you the dominance of God. I keep saying this. Kaido said it best, and I feel like every single time we have a hockey moment that does something we can't quite explain, this is what Kaido meant. Only hockey can truly transcend all. We have seen and the thing about hockey is, one thing I didn't mention when we were talking about the different levels of hockey is the fact that during the moment where Law and his crew were fighting against the Blackbeard Pirates, Law gets turned into a girl And we learned that if your haki is strong enough, you are just flat out capable of nullifying devil fruit effects that happen to you. So, for example, Doc Q has the sick fruit, and then he created a disease that can make it so that it turns any dude or possibly any woman into, well, he called it the feminization disease. So, turning any dude into a lady. And it's contagious. So if you touch a person that's been turned into a woman, you start to turn into one as well. But if your haki is powerful enough, you are capable of just flat out negating the effects of it. So now we got to think about other devil fruit powers that can do something to someone on a physical level by touch or whatever, and then think about haki being powerful enough to just completely negate it in general. We see this again with Garp when he was fighting Kuzan. Kuzan tried to freeze his arm, and Garp just flexed with his own haki and, wasn't even bothered. He even got frozen completely solid with Kuzan's ice ball, and Garp just broke out of it. His haki being that strong, he got frozen on the arm, and he just broke it with his own haki. Truly strong haki are capable of even nullifying the effects of Logias. I think our very first example of haki being powerful enough to resist the Logia was not with Rayleigh fighting against Kizaru, but it was Shanks against Akainu. The moment Shanks stopped Akainu's fist, which we have seen when he's all magma'd up, we've seen it that it's capable of melting anything and everything. Metal objects mean nothing. It's even capable of leaving marks on Whitebeard. The devastation of the Mago no Mi is astronomical. But in the face of Shanks not only blocked and stopped Akainu, but he blocked him with his sword without any visible damage to his sword. I think my family's here with food. I can hear the engine downstairs. I can hear it downstairs. Give me a sec. Let me grab my food. All right, I'm back. Got my food right here. Thank you for being patient, everybody. So, what was I saying? Yeah, back to hockey. One of the biggest examples of hockey being able to use to nullify Devil Fruit effects, even on something as powerful as the Magu Magu no Mi, was indeed Shanks. Being able to resist the hotness of magma from the Magu Magu no Mi. Whew. Let's see. I just joined, so I don't know what's happening. Before I ask you a question, are you caught up in the manga? I don't want to give you a spoiler. So, let me say this. I do not read early scans. Sorry. Let me get some water. I don't read early scans. Ever. I always read the official releases on Sunday. So, chapter 1150, I know nothing about. I don't want to know anything at all because I'm going to be reacting to it tomorrow. We are currently this is what you're new here. I do reflections on chapters of every chapter we get within a month. At the end of every month, we only got 2 chapters officially in May, and I'm currently at the end of chapter 1149. So that's where I am. That's where I am. So, going back to it, an example of being able to fully negate Devil Fruit powers, we've seen it with Shanks. So what we're witnessing here is something, even though the powers of Emu seem eldritch and otherworldly, even beyond what regular Devil Fruits are capable of doing, I feel like hockey is still the key to basically beating these individuals who are considered immortal, basically capable of beating individuals who are capable of regenerating, which is a beyond supernatural ability as a whole. Oh, so can I ask you that question? How do you think Gabin damaged a God Knight? Simple. The use of hockey. This is the reason why I've been talking about hockey. Hockey as a whole has been one of the most prevalent ways for people to deal damage in ways that would be impossible for any other individual. Hockey used to defeat Logias and beat Logias. Hockey used to defeat other people whose hockey is weaker than theirs. Hockey being used to completely nullify Devil Fruit powers. I feel this is a hockey ability we have yet to see, or even a higher form of armament hockey, or maybe even higher form of Conqueror's hockey infusion, where it's capable of bypassing the defense of even immortal beings. We've seen this before. Like I said, we've seen it before. Our first example of it being able to bypass defenses was with Luffy. And then after that, it was with a Logia with Kizaru versus Rayleigh. And now we're seeing it again, where it appears to be that hockey is used to bypass the defenses of people who are capable of instantaneous regeneration and effectively immortal people. Ah, there's Nightbot telling me to hydrate and stretch. I just did it, so I kind of beat it to the punch. So what I feel it is, and you guys heard me say it already, like what Ozzy is saying, Kaido literally said it, hockey conquers all. Only hockey can truly transcend all. Only hockey can hockey transcends Devil Fruit abilities. Hockey transcends Logia intangibility. Hockey transcends forcible transformations due to Devil Fruit powers, is capable of nullifying it and even reversing it. Hockey transcends the defenses of individuals whose entire being is protected by Devil Fruit powers, such as Paramecia types. Hockey has been shown being capable of allowing even individuals who are blind, such as Fujitora, to retain some semblance of vision by use of observation hockey. Hockey allows individuals to see into the future so that they can change that future by looking that far into it. And in the case of Shanks, being able to erase one's presence so that no one's future with Shanks in it can ever be seen period, making him the one person in the world of One Piece where no one can ever picture him in a future with future sight because he can essentially erase his presence. Haki is everything that you need to succeed in this world of piracy. If you don't have Haki, you better be close to someone who can use it. Because I'm not going to say that unless you got Haki, you're never going to make it in the new world. Because it's possible, as long as you're close to someone who can use it. It helps. It definitely helps that you have Haki of your own. But if you don't, it helps to be close to someone who does. So what we've been witnessing over the years is Oda giving us more and more powerful versions of Haki. And we've been seeing more and more powerful versions of Devil Fruit powers. And now we're in the presence of an individual whose powers seem to go beyond what is considered even normal, quote-unquote normal, for Devil Fruit powers in general. We have never seen this vast array of powers stemming from one singular Devil Fruit. Because every Devil Fruit, even if they're awakened, they always have like a theme, okay? Let's think about Law's awakened abilities. His abilities is essentially him being the world's greatest doctor. Pretty much the universe's greatest doctor, with him having capabilities, even in his awakened state, that is all centered around the theme of operation. Then you have Kid with his awakened abilities, all dealing with electromagnetism and magnetism in general, being able to make individuals that would not in real life be able to become attracted things to each other or repel each other. It becomes a phenomena, but the theme of magnetism and electromagnetism is still a thing. Then you have Luffy, whose entire being is, his entire being is centered on Toon Force, which even as vast as it is, it still centers on the theme of just Toon Force invulnerability and capabilities, and he can achieve whatever he wants through his imagination alone, through his body. It's not like he can just pull a zipper down from the top of the screen and then transition into another screen altogether, because that's reality warping. His abilities don't really focus on that. However, it kind of does to a certain degree. It kind of does a little bit of reality warping to a certain extent for himself and those that he touches and the environment around him. But it still keeps with his overall rubbery, bouncy, Toon Force type, old school animation type of feel that it has. That's the theme of it. Then you have Jewelry Bonnie with her Age fruit, where that is actually reality warping, where if she pictures a future where she effectively fights like Luffy in like a Gear 5 state, then she can access that future of herself where she's in that state and use those capabilities. Or access a future where she's like her father Kuma, gaining the body of a buccaneer. Or reach into a future where she's capable of making herself, an adult. Even though she's 12 years old, she can do all these sort of things. That's minor reality warping, because what if she reached into a future where she saw herself as a Logia like Kizaru? We haven't seen that. We haven't seen that at all. But her being able to take on the form of Nika, like Luffy, which should be an impossibility, because there are no two people with the same Devil Fruit powers. There can be two people with the same Devil Fruit types and categories, but not the exact same thing. Bonnie out here just reality warping with her capabilities. But I'm saying all of this to say this. We see a lot of Devil Fruits in the world of One Piece, and they all center on a theme. Even mystical type Devil Fruits, they tend to have like a vast array of powers to them, but it still keeps to the theme of the theme that comes from the Devil Fruit that they've eaten. Kaido can basically become a dragon, and with him being a mythological dragon, he gains access to mythological powers, but it's still centered around the theme of what he is. Here, we have Imu, that has the capabilities of telepathy, body possession, rescinding and granting immortality, shape-shifting. I'm seeing a theme here that doesn't tie to any one singular category. This is just what you would call superpowers. This is just straight up supernatural powers that go beyond just a simple thing for devil fruits. And I'm just saying, this Emu may be the first individual in One Piece that has powers that seem like devil fruit powers, but it's just the power that they have. Think about that. A world where someone has powers that are not devil fruit power derived. That would essentially make them an actual supernatural being. Not because of a fruit that they ate, but because of the power that they have. Now, I'm saying this now before we get the next chapter tomorrow, which may or may not reveal some things. Don't confirm or deny. I don't care to know until I read the chapter for myself. But it's going to be a scary thought if Emu is an actual individual that has powers, supernatural powers, and it's just theirs. It's not from a fruit. It's just theirs. Because not only that, but also forcible transformation of the person that they are possessing. Because Gunko's eyes have forcibly changed from what they were into what Emu's are, and has also apparently extended and grown out her hair forcibly, just from Emu possessing her. I have so many questions. And so does Chopper, which I'm glad that he's inquisitive about this, wanting to know, okay, how is it that you've managed to injure an individual who's supposed to be immortal? How did you do that? These are questions I want answered as well, because it would, it'd be scary if Oda has been teasing this thing, because he probably has. If Oda has been teasing this in front of our face, and we are once again going to be put in a situation where we have to double take and think about all the moments that we saw this happen, but we didn't know what it was, or it just flew over our heads. I can't wait. I love those moments, because now it's like, you can't look at the world of One Piece the same anymore after learning that Conqueror's Haki can be infused into weapons, and therefore protect said weapon and the person, and also negate devil fruit powers. Now you can't look at Shanks clashing with, stopping a Kainu the same again. Now you can't look at Sentomaru fighting Luffy back then the same again. There's just so many things that just go over our head that we don't know. Then we have to go back and look at it and feel like, oh wow, he actually showed this and teased this to us years ago, like several years ago. We didn't even know it. But I am just hear my thoughts here. I'm the type of individual that is captivated by individuals in manga and stories who have this vast amount of power, yet we don't know anything about them, and the day we learn who they are and the vast amount of power that they wield. So we can finally put them in a hierarchy to go like, okay, can this person beat this person? How powerful is this person relative to anyone else that we've seen featured in One Piece as a whole? I love those moments. And what terrifies me the most is that what we have seen of Emu probably isn't what they can do at maximum. Because this is Emu bothered. This is Emu upset about what's taking so long, to the point where they decided to intervene and speed things up. This is Emu flexing. Hey, God Knight, yeah, I'm gonna take over your body so I can speak and show everyone just what a god really is. That's essentially like Muzan Kibutsuji from Demon Slayer walking up to like, say, Tanjiro, after Tanjiro has faced off against all of the 12 Kizuki, and being all like, you know what, you've been killing all my people. I think I'm going to face you myself. Knowing full well just how strong Muzan actually is. Or, it's like Aizen walking up to... it's like Aizen walking up to Ichigo before Ichigo learns the final Zangetsu. Or it's like Yuha. No, it's not even like Aizen. It's like Yuha walking up to Ichigo before the Hueco Mundo arc. saying, I know what happens here. I know what happens here, so I'm going to stop you before things go on. What happens if Bonnie imagines a future, imagines she has the strongest hockey in existence and other people don't have any hockey? That's not how that works, because her age powers essentially only centers on herself. So it's not like she is imagining a future where no one else has hockey. That's just affecting other people. That's just other people. What she does is directly onto herself. Now, it's not like she can, and mind you, she can use her powers to de-age people or age them up or make them suffer a near-death experience, but it doesn't do it in a way where she can make them enter into a new future for themselves. And also, I don't think she's capable of imagining a future where she has a vast amount of hockey, like even Conqueror's hockey, because that's something you're born with and not simply something you can just take for yourself. Mind you, what she does tends to be a physical thing, not really a mental thing, not a thing where she imagines she has more willpower than anyone else. I don't think it extends that far, because if that was the case, then she can just imagine a future where she has the most overpowered hockey, and I just don't think narratively that would actually work. That just seems kind of busted. You think you got lost? Don't worry, I'm happy to explain things further if you need to. Emu Thanos, fine, I'll do it myself. That's what I've been saying. I use my gauntlet in the last reaction to facilitate that, to basically facilitate that same exact thing. It does make you wonder, though. Can Emu's actual body leave Marijois, which is why he's possessing Gunko? That's an interesting question. Because we've seen the elders leave, but Emu stays behind. We don't know the specifics of it, but we've only seen Emu in 3 places. The garden that they frequent, down there in the dungeon in this giant freezer where a giant hat resides, and in the empty throne room. We have never seen them anywhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if Emu actually can't leave the Red Line at all. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe something happened that, despite all the vast power that Emu has, it's not enough to allow them to leave where they are. They might be confined there. But that's just pure speculation. However, Brooke's about to get a huge backstory soon. I'm feeling it. So are we. So are all of us. Brooke has a connection to a holy knight of Marijois. That's what Oda has just put out there in the atmosphere. Just put out there in the world. Brooke, a member of the Straw Hat crew, who has more knowledge of the world than any other member of the Straw Hat crew, simply because he's the oldest. The dude is he's 10 years shy of being a full century old. He's 90 years old. So he's been around for a minute. So learning of Brooke's backstory and his relation to Gunko, whether he's her actual father or adoptive father akin to that of Kuma and Bonnie, or maybe he's just like a close friend of the family and he's just someone that Gunko knew growing up, remains to be seen. But I do realize that, you know what I just realized? How many moments for Brooke have we gotten over the past where we are actually about to get a section of One Piece story where Brooke is very important? Think about that. Not Brooke taking part and doing some incredible stuff, such as fighting against Big Mom, calling her young lady, what idiot plans on going somewhere with the intentions of dying, or being the one to shatter the picture of Mother Caramel, or getting the scratchings of the road poneglyphs and keeping it inside of his head. Brooke has had many clutch moments, but not moments that are just purely focused on him, where he's an actual narrative focus. We haven't had that a lot for Brooke. Now, We see that Gunko knows Brook somehow, so Brook's relevance is about to shoot up. This might be one of the most important moments of One Piece simply because of Brook's involvement. There's a lot more to Brook than meets the eye, even though he doesn't have eyes. Oh, that was a good one. That was actually a good one. That was a good one. Okay. There's a lot more to Brook that meets the eye, even though he doesn't have eyes. Skull joke! That was actually really good. That was a really good one, Ozzy. I like that. I like that one. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Brook is about to get some heavy One Piece relevance. Now, my question is, are we about to see another side to Brook? Because Brook has always been like the jovial dude. He'll scream and holler when things get scary. But are we about to see another side to Brook that we haven't seen before? A side of Brook that he hasn't had to deal with in the many years he's been, half alive and dead? This might be one of the most important moments for Brook, and out of everyone in the Straw Hat crew, Brook don't be talking about his past, though. Think about that. We know a lot about the past of every other member of the Straw Hat crew except for Brook. We know about Jinbei's past. We know about Frankie's past. We know about Luffy, Nami, Zoro, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Robin. We know about all of their pasts except for Brook's. He's the only person who's joined the Straw Hat crew who doesn't go on to talk about his past much. And yet he lets everyone know. He lets everyone know that there's little tidbits here that no one really pays attention to. Like, back when they were talking about Roger, Brook was all like, oh, wow, that sounds familiar. Reminds me of a rookie from back then in the day. A rookie pirate from back then in the day. Like, he was there before Roger made a name for himself. And he's just dropping this knowledge, but no one's paying him any mind. He's just saying this stuff in passing. Just casually saying all this stuff in passing. Which means that out of everyone, Brook is the most interesting, because imagine all the stuff that he's seen while he was alive. The stuff he knows. He clearly knows. He knows about the Holy Knights. He clearly knows about them. Where did Brook come from? How does he know about the Holy Knights? That even the revolutionaries know about them, and the higher-ups of the Navy know about them, but not pirates. So how does Brook know? So many questions. So many questions. I can't wait. I cannot wait for tomorrow's chapter. He is too weak to be a God Knight, though. I'm not saying he was a Holy Knight. I'm questioning, how does he know of them? I'm questioning his history. I'm not saying that he's too weak, but also I'm not saying that he's weak at all, because the only thing really holding Brook back is his comical nature. That's the only thing. Don't let him being seen as comic relief on occasion deny the fact that he is an incredibly capable swordsman. The only thing that's really holding him back is literally just his personality. Same can be said of Kizaru. The only thing holding him back from just one-shotting everyone is literally he's slow-minded. That's it. I'm not saying Brook is weak, because he is not weak. The only thing holding him back is just how he is as a person. But he's incredibly strong. He's strong. Not as strong as he possibly could be in the same ballpark as Zoro, but we've seen his swordsmanship. He's incredibly capable, incredibly precise. He is an expert with the sword. Let us not just overlook that. Brook is strong, but he's just held back by his own doing. If he took his swordsmanship seriously on the level of Zoro, he would be an incredibly formidable opponent, even greater than anything we've seen him do so far. Dude's fast enough to cut people, and those people not even realize they've been cut. That's Brook now. That's Brook now. He cuts people, And they don't even realize they've been cut until after he sheathed his sword. And there hasn't been a single person to notice this ever. No one has been able to tell they've been cut by Brooke until after the cut opens. That's Brooke. That's the yo ho ho, may I see your panties dude. That's what he can do. Now. So no, Brooke is not weak. He's just held back. So no, I am definitely not going to say that Brooke is weak. But I am so incredibly curious about his history. I'm curious about his history. I want to know. I want to know. Can you show me? I want to know about the member called Brooke. Tell me more. Please show me. Let's learn the history of one dude called Brooke. I want to know. Isn't it impossible that Gunko was a child in a flashback? She looks like she is 25. You also need to remember that Jay Garcia doesn't look like he's over Jay Garcia didn't look like he was over 200 years old. Immortality can be a great benefit. It can be a great benefit. Think about it. Jay Garcia was over 200 years old. And he was immortal. What does age mean to individuals who are essentially immortal and can regenerate all the time? Because we don't know the age of Gunko and Somers and Killingham. We don't know their true ages. For all we know, they could be just as old, if not older, than Jay Garcia. But I doubt that they are older than Jay Garcia. But we see what looks to be a child Gunko. She could have gotten immortality when she turned 25, but also remained 25. In God's Valley, Shank's father was immortal, but he aged. There was no guarantee that he was immortal because we don't know when God Knights get immortality. We don't. So for all we know, he probably didn't even have immortality during that time simply because he was so strong. Because we've seen that Garling is a very capable individual, even though we only seen him fight and kill one person, which was all the way back in God Valley. So they could have gotten the immortality at some point in their lives, but not when they were young. Because if you're immortal and you never age, I mean, it's probably when you receive it at that age. So we don't know. Here's the thing that makes it tricky. We don't know the extent or prerequisites or even the time frame of when these individuals are given their immortality. But what we can gather is that they are given their mortality at the age that we see them at. So for all we know, Gunko could have been 25 60 years ago, and she is now still physically with the appearance of a 25-year-old, despite having that immortality given to her. So she probably gained it at the age that she was, and that's the reason why she still looks the way she is now. We don't know when. That's the issue. We don't know the when. We don't know the specifics or the when. Does immortality get granted to the God Knights as soon as they're inducted? Or can they choose at a certain time? Or before they become Holy Knights, are they given immortality before or after? There's just so many questions. There's so many questions that we just don't know. But from context clues, we can kind of gather enough information. Because if you're immortal, it doesn't mean that you can't age, but, I mean, it also kind of means that in this story, simply because Jay Garcia was over 200 years old, and he looked the exact same all those 200 years ago when Emmett attacked Marijua as he did in the present day. Let me see what you guys are saying. True, remember Brooke is 90 years old, so Gunko has to be about 60 or 70. Crazy got 9 Simu here on Elbaph and Shamrock appearance in the early chapters. It still feels like we're not even halfway through Elbaph and so much has already happened, but more stuff is coming. Exactly. That's the scary thing. There's still so much of Elbaph left. Because now we have the library that's on fire, the school that's on fire, the children that need to be freed from Summer's thorns, the children that and also Gunko's arrow powers. We still got Killingham, who's by himself with Anji to ensure that the school and library are all on fire. We got the Giants making their way to rescue the kids to try and put out the fire and save them. And now, not only that, we still got Zoro, Luffy, Sanji, the new giant pirates, and Loki down in the underworld. See, this is the reason why I said that I feel like Oda may cut away from what's happening here in the next chapter and go straight back to Luffy. But I'll find out once the next chapter comes out, when it comes out tomorrow. There's still so much going on, and despite everything that's happening, we now have Imu making their presence known in front of everyone. Mind you, no one knows who Imu is. Only the Holy Knights do. Only the God Knights do. So hearing this person speak through Gunko, they're probably wondering like, whoa, what's going on with Gunko? What's going on with her? She doesn't seem like herself. Not knowing who Imu is at this time, because Imu's patience has run thin. To the point where you got this incredibly powerful individual fed up with waiting. Because apparently Marige was in a sea of fire right now. There's so much happening in One Piece right now. There's issues in Marigewa. We got the underworld situation where Loki's being tended back to health. And now we have the children up top with all the other giants, and Imu has basically shown up on Elbaph through Gunko to speed things up. Because things are taking too long. And we don't even know when she became a God Knight. No, we don't. And somehow, some way, Big News Morgans will find a way to spread what's happening in Elbaph to the rest of the world, giving Luffy even more clout. Because this would be big news for Morgans. Oh, the Emperor of the Sea went to Elbaph and clashed with some Holy Knights? This would make for a wonderful paper. But this is where we're at with One Piece right now. The chaos, and I told you about the chaos. I told you guys before it even popped off. Before we even saw Loki for the first time. I said it. I said it to this day that we are dealing with the quiet moments of this arc. It's when the chaos starts that you know things are about to go down. We're about to get a whole bunch of information. Some crazy crap's about to happen. And like I predicted, we are in the middle of it. We are in the middle of the chaos of Elbaph, and the ruler of the world has appeared, saying, "Allow me to show you the dominance of God." For 2 chapters, these were some good 2 chapters for the month of May. I want to go ahead and wrap this up because I still got food here, and I may need to change my start time for Death Stranding after I get done eating. I may need to change it to like 3:30 just to give myself some extra leeway time to eat, let it settle, and then play Death Stranding. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. This is where we're at with One Piece. We are at some insane levels. Yeah, Blackbeard. Straw Hat again? He'll probably be wondering, like, why is Straw Hat getting all this attention in the newspaper? But there's so much chaos in Elbaph right now. So I'm not going to say theories, but here are my hopes for the chapters going forward in June. Because June starts tomorrow. What I hope for is that we have the fires put out for the school. It may be damaged, but I don't want it to be damaged beyond the point of repair. I want to see the library saved, because there's still so many books in there from Ohara that Robin didn't get a chance to, more than likely didn't get a chance to read yet. And I highly doubt that Biblo is going to just let this happen. Ain't no way Oda is going to show us an owl library custodian with a devil fruit power, and we don't see this owl do anything. There's no way Oda would show us a devil fruit wielding giant owl, and the owl not do something do something about its place that it's in charge of. So hopefully, I want to see Biblo do something. We still got Luffy and company down in the underworld dealing with Loki. We don't know what's going to happen with them. I would love for us to go to Marijois and actually see the sea of flames that's currently going throughout the entire, I won't say nation because it's not a nation. The entire, what do you call it? Entire city? City? Do we just call it a city of Marijois? See you tomorrow for chapter 1150, and of course for tonight's episode. Here's the thing. Episodes don't drop for One Piece at night anymore. They drop on Sundays. They've changed the entire time stamp for One Piece episodes now. Now One Piece episodes officially drop on Sundays now. They drop at 11, I think, now. So no episode tonight because they no longer have them up anymore. So no episodes. Thy boys need to come back up too. Yeah, they do. So there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. But I just teasing. Oh, that's right, Sunday afternoons. Yeah, exactly. Once I get done with One Piece and Sakamoto Days, I'll record my reaction for the newest One Piece episode, and then we'll be good for Sunday. Monday will be the start of my solo leveling light novel reading. 10 chapters per session starting in June until I get to the end of the series. Every single Monday at maybe 12:30, just to give myself extra room, just in case I need to feed the boys. So that's happening. Then later during the week, picking up my Switch 2. So that's gonna be exciting as well. And Summer Game Fest starts on Friday, this upcoming Friday for June as well. So there's a lot of things happening in June, but there's also a lot of things happening in One Piece. You know what I want to say, and I'm gonna make a prediction right here. Next chapter, we're gonna be going on break. I'm gonna say it. Next chapter, we're going on break. But with all the chaos happening in One Piece, just imagine, we're not even done with the story. We're just in Elbaph. What terrifies me is what happens when we leave Elbaph. Because out of all the places that we've been wanting and meaning to go to for such a long time now, we're now here. What's beyond Elbaph? But it's a bit too soon to discuss that. Overall, I'm just going to go ahead and bring this to a close by saying these chapters that we got in May were all exceptional. Even though there was only 2 of them, they were all exceptional. They were very, very good. And I just want to see more. But I'm also terrified because Imu has used Gunko as a puppet, essentially, and is now wanting to show off their power. We got a tease of it when Sabo was facing the Elders back then. Let's go, Summer Game Fest. You doing a reaction? It's probable that I'm probably going to do a reaction because it's going to be on a Friday. So more than likely, I'll probably do a reaction to Summer Game Fest when it happens. So, because I think I did it last year. So yeah, Friday will be a very fun day for Summer Game Fest because we get to see new games coming out as well. So there's so much stuff I want to know. But with One Piece, good, solid chapters, and I enjoyed them. We've been doing this for about a good hour and 34. I told you this wasn't going to be as long as my other one simply because we only got 2 chapters within this month. But I feel like June is going to be a very crucial month for One Piece in the manga. And I'm liking it so far. All right, I'm liking it. Can't wait to see what tomorrow's chapter brings. But while my food is still nice and hot here, I know I've been talking for a minute, thank you, everyone, for showing up today. From Zakaruga to Ozzy, yep, when the chapters end in 5 or 0, they usually leave a big cliffhanger, so definitely we'll be going on a break. What am I doing? I already signed off. You're fine. But thank you, everyone, for showing up. Thank you for your support. And I'm customizing the channel a little bit more, having Nightbot put notifications for different things up in the chat. So we're getting more and more professional, everybody. But thank you for showing up. Ozzy, Zakaruga, what was your name that was asking questions? Evitar? Or is it Eviatar? Or is it Eviatar? Simantov. Welcome. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself while you were here. Everyone who showed up here today, thank you for taking the time to watch me. Julian as well. Thank you for taking the time to watch me. I know this may not be your casual, usual One Piece type streams that you may see other people do, but this is how I do things up in my house. So, thank you for showing up. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples!